Hello again. It is the work area here on Wing Nation, part of our quartet of Thursday podcasts. So, quartet, how about that, of Thursday podcasts.
Fancy.
Yeah, so we're getting all fancy around here, exactly. Where we sit around and talk about sprint car racing with the issues of the day. Aaron Evernham and Steve Post, we are here in our Concord studios, and joining us from the Lethal Chassis Studios up in the great state of Pennsylvania is Ashley Stremme. Hello, Ashley, how are you?
I am fabulous.
Well, okay. I started this whole thing. So Ashley we're recording this. I'm just going to be totally frank and honest with you. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon. Ashley is going in to have a baby on Wednesday. So within 24 hours, Ashley, you're going to be a mom.
Yes.
Woo.
Hopefully skinnier and able to have a drink at that point.
Or multiple drinks, might we add, yes.
I hope David's bringing the Lemmys right to the hospital.
Right to the hospital.
One can only hope. If he doesn't die before this is over.
Well, okay, that's what I was going to say.
From passing out or from you? What's going to happen?
From me.
I think and I believe this with all my heart, knowing David like I do. I think David Stremme is going to be an awesome father.
Oh, without a doubt.
I hope he is alive in 24 hours to be an awesome father. That, to me, is the David Stremme struggle right now. Ashley, is there any degree of fairness to that point?
100%. Unfortunately, the man knows nothing but racing and is completely oblivious to everything and anything else in life. So,
oh gosh, this needs to be filmed. This is a reality show. This is how you swaddle a baby. This is how you change a baby.
And I know he's going to be great, and I know, but I know how he is right now. It's like you're sitting there, you could start, when we get done this, you could start contractions, and he's going to be talking to you about steel prices, and shock setups. So
I feel like he'll be holding the baby like this at first. He'll be one of those, like, here,
oh,
the baby.
Absolutely. He's never held a child in his life, let alone an infant. So it's going to be an eye-opener for sure.
And he's going to be an awesome dad, but it's just getting there is going to be the challenge.
It's good to bust on him when he's not here.
Exactly. Yes. And yes, it is. It is good. That is for sure. So I hate to do this to you, Ashley, but Aaron and I, we've got snacks.
We do.
We got snacks. Aaron, the setup with us a couple of weeks ago, as you know, with Aaron Evernham, right?
Yeah, we had Bernie Stubjan on Indy Race Parts, and he sent a nice thank you. We got, sorry, you're in Pennsylvania, you can't have any, but we got Garrett's Chicago popcorn.
Popcorn, yes.
Yes.
How about that? So
that's awesome.
Yes, it was very nice.
I need to start talking to my guests about getting gifts and snacks.
Well, I'm 0 for 2. So you and me, Ashley, our
Right?
guests. It's like, maybe I need to go back and make this retroactive.
Well,
Calvin Knapp, what are you going to send me here? Calvin, what are you going to send me?
Yeah, Wayne Johnson, what are you sending?
What are you sending? Exactly. I'm going retroactive.
Don't ask
on this.
Wayne to send anything.
No, I don't know. You're right about that.
God knows what we'll get.
You're right about that. We probably don't need Wayne creatively sending a gift. Yeah, you're right about that. Never mind, Wayne. Calvin, you can send a gift if you want, but Wayne, never mind.
Yeah,
we'll go retroactive to the last one. So we appreciate that, Bernie. We will enjoy those snacks as well. This is part of a quartet of podcasts, Getting Off Track with Ashley Stremme, as you know, with Aaron Evernham in the post office, with yours truly, with Steve Post. And this is where we talk sprint car racing. So that's what we're going to do here. And we're using all of Ashley's shows up because we know for the next week or two we're not going to have access. So that's what we're doing. So it's cool.
Yes.
It's cool. Aaron, how are you? How's everything in your world?
We're good. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yep.
Yeah, nothing too exciting. I haven't been to too many races. I've watched some Dirt Vision.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm fantastic. I'll tell you what, and you ladies know, and a lot of people follow along on this, I'm working on my fitness. Stepped on the scales Monday morning here at MRN. I weigh in every Monday. Lightest I've been in probably 25 years.
That's really cool.
I mean, it's freaking awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's not easy to do.
No, I'm serious. And weight is just one of many benchmarks. So I don't put like next week I might be a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't put a lot of emphasis on weight. It's one benchmark. More important than that, I feel like you talk about feeling like $1 million. I feel like $1 billion. I feel fantastic. But then just the working out, the exercise, and I shared with you guys a couple shows ago. Started doing yoga with my daughter. and weights and
Let's
stuff
not
like that.
go there into
you
the
don't
yoga
need-
conversation
Yeah, exactly.
again.
So, but so like it's been like when you walk in on Monday morning and see, this was a week we had my daughter's 24th birthday was last week, so we went and pigged out. I wasn't necessarily on my best behavior at Richmond all across the board, so it was one of those weeks where I'm like, I'm probably going to be about the same. And when I stepped out, I'm like, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, you start the week off like that, so it's good stuff. So. Glad everything is well with you, Aaron. Ashley, glad everything is well with you as we get closer and closer as we're recording this. So fun stuff. Exactly. I also feel weird because we've already said goodbye and good luck to Ashley 3 different times on 3 different shows.
Well, you never know. I mean, a baby
it's
doesn't just
about damn time. Maybe we'll say goodbye this time, and the next
And if
time we
it's like
do
a
talk.
Stremme, it's got a mind of its own.
Well, there you
It's
go.
It's mom or dad.
Yes, exactly. But maybe actually the next time we do talk, she will be a mom, like we've talked about the last 3 times we said goodbye to her. So it's all good.
Just
So
hopefully my water doesn't break during this show.
Oh, at least you're on video. You can just run out. I mean,
Yeah.
better than if you were here with us. If you're here with us, then I would
well,
be panicking.
exactly. Yeah, because David's in the middle of building a car, so he can't do it. He won't be of any good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he probably wouldn't know what that step of the process was, anywho.
That's exactly it. Yeah, there you go. Let's step away. When we come back, we'll get right into our sprint car conversation. Stay with us. It's the work area. Welcome back. It is the work area here on Wing Nation. Ashley Stremme, Aaron Evernham, and Steve Post here. Our little round table visit talking issues, performances, and stories in sprint car racing. And we touched on this the last time just a little bit, but it has reared its head again. Tires, or shortage of tires and tire price increases. Last Thursday, the Racers New and Used Warehouse Parts Used Parts Warehouse put a post out. That's Danny Dietrich's business. Not rare for Danny to go on social media to generate interest in things. That there was an immediate Hoosier price increase. That obviously stirred things up. That stirred things up and was the genesis of the stirring until Victory Lane on Saturday night at the famed Devil's Bowl Speedway, where Brent Marks chose not to wear the Hoosier neckband and also had the Hoosier contingency decal crossed out on his race car. So that took the post from the Racers New and Used Parts Warehouse and made that secondary, and Brent Marks became the focal point of this. Ashley, and I've chatted with some folks. Ashley, you have too. Ashley, what's your understanding of what's going on?
Yeah, thankfully we have some good friends at Hoosier and chatting with them this week, trying to get a better grasp on everything and as to what's going on so we can supply our customers and keep them in the know as well. Apparently, there is a ingredient, I guess you could say, in the tire called carbon black, which Hoosier gets domestically, and it's used in every car tire there is, from your street tire to dump truck tires, you name it. But the other companies resource their stuff outside of the United States, and that country being Russia. And we all know where the world is with that right at the moment. So apparently it's become very hard to get from Russia. So now your typical tire companies are now resourcing domestically as well, which we all know what happens then. Price goes up. So that is why Hoosier is claiming that their pricing has gone up because the pricing of carbon black has gone up. And it is important to have in the tire because it not only makes the tire black, because otherwise your tire would be white, it is also the wear characteristics and the compound that takes place in the build of the tire. So there is a little bit of a story behind it. I think we all know that pricing of everything has just become last minute, and we're finding out reasons why, whether it's because trucks have to pay more in fuel to get your items to where they need to go. Shipping has increased. Everything's increased at this point. But that is why the pricing of Hoosiers have gone up recently.
Well, I think you hit on what I was going to say. The price of everything has gone up right now. So I'm not currently a racer, but I understand the frustration with it. And I don't know the backstory. I'm not in the pit area every week. I don't know the ins and outs. But I know even, this is random, but our grocery bill, like even, Ray was like, what are we buying at the grocery store? I'm like, the same things, like everything, our gasoline, everything. So you can't really blame them for having a price increase. And again, I'm not a racer. I'm not in the trenches, so I don't know the details, but you're like, oh, a price increase. Shocker. In this day and age, of course, everything's more expensive.
My lawn care guy, Jack, called me yesterday morning. And I looked down and saw Jack. And I said, hey, Jack, how are you? And he said, I'm doing well, but I need to talk to you about something. I said, Jack, I expected your call.
Yep, everything.
What do we need to do? And he does a great job. And in my opinion, I hope he's not listening to this, he's cheap, even where we're going on, he's cheap. But it's everything.
Yeah, we're building a house, and I can tell you.
Oh, dear God.
Everything. And luckily we got a little bit ahead of the game because we started last March. However, it's like the same thing. It's like, oh, your pool is going to be this much more expensive because we're missing an ingredient in PVC piping. So all the piping that you put in for your pool and your filter is like double the price. Oh, there's this ingredient from the floors that we can't find. So but it's like the same thing. It's the same story. It's like one little piece that they can't, there's a supply issue. But obviously, like we're saying, but it's across the board. It's life right now, and it's not fun. No one enjoys it. No one wants it, but it's part of life.
I think where the problem lies with Hoosier is the fact that they're telling everyone that their supply right now is great, but yet they're trying to police who's getting tires and how many they're getting, which I know they're looking at the end game, right? We've got to survive off of all these tires all season long. So it's just, I think the policing more than anything is the hardest part for me, because how do you determine who gets this many tires and who gets this? I mean, sure, the World of Outlaws are our top series, and of course they need all the tires in the world, but what about Joe Blow down the street who supports his local track and needs tires as well? So I think the policing, to me, is where the issue truly lies.
Yeah, I agree.
The policing, I was talking to a promoter friend that runs a racetrack, and their opener is this weekend. And I said, how are things open, looking for the opener? And he says, I'll let you know Monday. And I said, oh, what's going on Monday? He said, that's when my tire truck shows up. And I'm like, oh, it's that bad? And he said, I don't know if I'm running all my divisions. I don't know if I'm running part of my divisions. I don't know if I'm tire limiting part of my divisions and running all of them. He said, and that hopefully gets me through week one. We'll see how much I get from my tire manufacturer as we go forward.
Well, and that trickles down because now you're making a promoter police his races. So now he's going to say, oh, that class can't run. Oh. And then that class gets mad and then they go to a different, the whole trickle down effect is.
Good luck with that.
Woo!
And it's going to be huge. I mean, that trickle down effect, we already see some racetracks, some local racetracks, not Port Royal hasn't done anything like this, Lincoln, no, but a couple of the small local tracks around here have already agreed to do an open tire rule. And I mean, Aaron, you can talk about this. You know what it was like back in the day running with the World of Outlaws and having tire options. Sure, it sounds great having that open tire rule, but you know how much of a nightmare it can be.
Oh, there's so many parts and pieces to that. First of all, if you have a Hoosier deal, you're not going to you can't really run an American Racer or Goodyear or something else because you can't lose that deal because sometime they're going to get tires back. So you don't want to lose a deal. And some of those tire deals, at least back in the day, used to be a huge chunk of your budget. Obviously, you're putting how many tires on every single weekend. But on top of that, if you do want to run a different tire, every setup is so different. Tires make such a big difference. The sidewall of the tire, the compound, all the characteristics change. Your shock setup, they change everything. So it not only is it, kind of tricky to go with the sponsorship thing, but it can totally change the way your car handles. Like completely change the way. Every year Hoosier messes with the tire a little bit. Sometimes they don't even tail the racers, and the racers figure it out right away. They're like, all right, the sidewall is different. Something's different. It's not acting the same way. So, I mean, thinking of going between manufacturers, and then you could carry all these tires in your, in your hauler, but you only get 4 hot laps. So here you go. Figure it out. Which one's the best?
Carrying all those trailers or all those tires in your hauler, the budget, again, it's like a haves versus have-nots. Yeah, I remember years ago there was it might have been a stock car racing story about one of the big dirt track late model thing, and they showed a picture of his tire inventory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this looks like a tire warehouse. This was one team.
Yeah.
And so you know, is the Saturday night racer at the fabulous Lincoln Speedway going to be able to carry all the compounds? Because you don't know when you get to the track. We had Colby Copeland on our show this week. Ashley, you didn't catch that. Colby Copeland was on. They ran Stockton. Track in the heats started to take rubber, or they thought it was slick. It started. They were close to taking rubber, so they decided to rework the racetrack, and it hooked. He said it hooked up, and it was cowboy up, and it never took rubber or anything. Well, the problem of it is you don't know that. So you've got to carry this tire, should it stay dry slick. You got to carry this tire. What does that do to your setup and everything? So the idea of an open tire rule, and Shane Stewart is going with an open tire rule at Port City for his micros, for everything but the right rear.
Because everyone wants to keep racing.
Because everyone wants to keep racing. It's a survival thing is what it is.
And then I've heard of a racer or two, I mean, may or may not know him well, but who has like actually, and I'm sure he's not the only one, but ground the tire down and, used some lacquer thinner to clean off the tire and then used a stenciled of the tire that he was supposed to be running to keep sponsorship. Like
tire deals.
I mean, things get real tricky.
So it's interesting. It really truly is. And this is not a sprint car problem.
No, it's across the board. No. Asphalt and everywhere.
So I want to use this to transition to the next story that we have kind of on our little list of stories. Of all of the racers that I would expect to become the poster child for this is the non-rebel rousing Brent Marks. Brent goes and he opts not to wear the Hoosier neckband, and he has Hoosier crossed out on the contingency decal on his race car. First off, I don't see this out of Brent. Brent just seems like, but obviously it is passionate to him as a guy who is paying the bills. Aaron, this is a guy that is paying his own bills. Obviously, it means something to him if he does not do the protocols that he's...
Yeah, and obviously parking it in Victory Lane and 20,000 to win at Devil's Bowl is going to get you the headlines and going to put you... But I thought it was interesting. He didn't just take the Hoosier decal off. Like, he purposely put a black line through it. Like, that's making a statement. We're not just taking it off so no one can see it.
Right.
We're saying we are really unhappy.
Yeah. So...
Well, I think that he has to run it to run with the World of Outlaws, correct?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So he can't take it off and he can't completely cover it up, but he made his point very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very true.
It just, Ashley, you and I know Brent and Megan. They're not troublemakers, though.
No.
Can you?
But Brent, I've never even heard the man raise his voice.
Yeah.
I did when we were in Nashville and he had a few Lemmys. He was, Brent Marks. Get him some vodka, some Big Machine slushies. Good times.
Good times.
Yeah. But no, seriously, Ashley, you're right. Like, Brent is not the one. And maybe there's a backstory. Maybe there's more to it that we don't know, but not the one that I would think would be forefront.
Sure, but I do think that he is very calculated. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't make a statement like that if there wasn't something that was deeper for him, and B, ultimately he's just not like I said, he's not the type to ruffle feathers or stir the waters. So there's definitely more to it for Brent than just him trying to make a statement.
I find it glaring that it's him, because I agree with you totally, Ashley. Yeah. There's more to this when a rational, put your nose to the grindstone racer like Brent, level-headed guy like Brent feels that strongly about it that he makes that statement. I just find that interesting. He made another statement on Friday night. Does anything else on tires? Are we good on tires? I feel
like I need to know more. It's hard when you're not at the races.
Well,
there's got to be some.
I feel like there's more, and everyone's got their story. Okay, he made another statement on Saturday night, Aaron. I mean, we have spent the whole last year talking about how good the World of Outlaws are and how tough it is, and you better pack a lunch. Yeah. And this is 7, 8, 10, 12 cars deep. He went down there to Devil's Bowl, and he just clobbered him.
He whooped him. Like, he put a big old whooping on him.
He did. And Ashley, I thought Brian Brown's comments afterward were interesting. Brian Brown's comments was, it's the fastest non-outlaw car in the country. Aaron and I talked about this again. We did this a little bit on our Tuesday show. It was about a year ago when Virginia Motor Speedway, because they ran opposite right where the Richmond Cup race. So I was at the race. That was when the CJB Brent Marks divorce started. Was about a year ago. Mm-hmm. Brent Marks. 20 or 12 months, Brent Marks, that is a novel, that is a book, that is a movie, that is a live show, that is reality TV, what he's done. But I am telling you, he has built a fast race car and a strong team, Ashley.
Absolutely. I mean, even before CJB, think about when he was on the road with the World of Outlaws, those few years running his own stuff and making things happen himself. I mean, he was putting on whales of a show week in and week out, coming from the back of the pack to making the top 5, top 3. And I mean, we used to joke too, Brent, man, if you could just qualify, you'd be a phenomenal race car driver and be winning World of Outlaws shows left and right. So honestly, I'm not surprised. He's gotten time under his belt. He's raced with the World of Outlaws, so he knows what it takes. He does have good equipment underneath him, and now he's got a partner that takes a lot off his shoulders, that he can really focus on his race car and what needs to happen. So I think we've only seen the very beginning of Brent Marks this year, and knowing that he's picking and choosing his races, doing it the way he wants to do it, not being told where he has to go or what has to happen. I think you're going to see a really happy driver, owner, winning solid, large races all year long.
I agree. And I was going to go back to the same thing in 2019 when he was running with the Outlaws. I think he won more hard chargers than anyone. And like Ashley said, everyone was like, if he could just qualify, because he was passing so many cars. And then he went and did the thing with CJB. And you have to know, no matter what happened in the end, he gained experience working with Barry. I mean, you can't work with Barry and not learn a lot. So then he gets experience. He learns from Barry. He goes back to the same equipment that he had. He said he had kept most of it, and now I'm sure he's, bought new stuff and just continue to have that all evolve. But I agree with Ashley. I feel like we're going to see Brent winning some big races this year.
He was, when you look at Knoxville 2020 versus Knoxville 2021, he had to be one of the most improved drivers. If he takes another step in that direction, you talk about winning big races, because he was awful good at Knoxville.
And I think it'd be fascinating to see a driver like Brent, if he can continue to pick and choose and go beat the Outlaws. We haven't seen that. We've never seen a driver that occasionally, but to do it more often than just occasionally,
and
I think it'd be so neat.
It's tough. It's tough. It really is. Yeah. But he went and whooped him down there at Devil's Bowl. I mean, and he's going to run a lot with the Outlaws over the next couple of months. If he can pick off another 3 or 4 wins with them, it does become interesting. It does become fascinating to see what happens. So, and again, which, not to go back to the tire thing, but there's nobody that works harder. Him and Megan, Ashley, you actually at one time you flew to a race. You ended up in the same row with Megan, talking with her. There is nobody that works harder than Brent and Megan Marks on their business.
It's true. And you're not going to meet anyone more humble, honestly. They're just great people, down to earth, love what they do. They work hard at it, and they take their successes in stride. They don't boast. They don't brag. They're just great people who love what they do and are proud to be a part of it and want to be successful. And so they work their tails off to make it happen. And, that was at the time when Brent was full-time with the World of Outlaws. Megan was seeing him maybe once every 6 weeks if she was able to fly out or he was able to fly home. She is raising the daughter on her own. It really speaks a lot, on my show, Getting Off Track. That's what we talk about. We talk about how, the wives have to endure, whether it's going to every single race or sitting at home and not being able to be there, but it's about supporting them however they possibly can to make sure that he is continually successful. And I think that's just ultimately what has made this deal work for the Marks.
I think the other thing, I think it's just the way you make your family situation work. I was not aware of this, and I heard Chet Christner talking about this. I mean, obviously, she's very involved with the souvenir part of the business and the business, and obviously raising their daughter and doing stuff. And she's a great follow on social media, by the way.
Yeah.
She's just watching her with her daughter is great stuff on social media. But I didn't even realize this, but Chet Christner was talking about it. She was part of the customer support staff for Flo, because she was watching all of the races. It's like
Speed
her
Shift.
work. Yeah. What's
Speed
that?
Shift,
Or
yeah.
Speed Shift. Yeah, it was Speed Shift. Yeah,
yeah.
before it was Flow.
I
but it
remember
was
that.
like the time, it was the time when Brent was racing. So it wasn't like a 9 to 5 job. She's going to be sitting there on Sunday afternoon. So why not make a few bucks? And I love how families sometimes poll, if we can get a few bucks here and a few bucks here and sell a few shirts here and you keep racing and everything like that. It's a great deal. It really is. So neat stuff for sure across the board. Finally, the last thing I had on my list of things to talk about, I'm so excited this weekend. The is it Texos or Tejas? I'm gonna have to wait for Blake Anderson to start talking. Tejas. I think it's Tejas.
Oh.
Or Texas.
Don't ask me.
I don't know. It's the All-Stars.
Yeah,
the
just go with
All-Stars,
that.
yes. Once Blake starts
We know
talking,
them.
Once Blake starts talking on Friday night, I'll know what we call them.
Yes.
So it is the All-Stars. They get started, the first of their points battles at Attica. First and foremost, Aaron, I'm excited about this. Their top 5 last year, Tyler Courtney, Corey Eliason, Hunter Sherberg, Zeb Wise, and Bill Bailout. I think they're all 5 back.
I think so as well.
So,
and, I mean, I love what's happened to the All-Stars in the recent years. Like, I feel like I'm an old-time racer, so I always talk about back in the day. But back in the day, it was so strong with Kemenaugh and Blaney's and, Jacobs. There was like a whole group that always supported the All-Stars. It was a solid group, a decent number of drivers that went to every race. And then it seemed there was a few years where it was like we didn't really know what they wanted to be when they grew up. They kind of, Chad went with the Outlaws and he went and did a bunch of different stuff. So it's neat to see such a strong group of drivers. Like I feel like that group of drivers could go to an Outlaw show and run really well. I mean, Tyler Courtney, any of those.
Won the King's Royal last year.
Yeah, precisely. So I just love to see that there's such a strong group with the All-Stars.
And Ashley,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, the key question is can Sunshine duplicate what he did last year? And all indications, I mean, look, who he's with, who he drives for, who he is, all indications are, but I don't expect any of those other guys or anyone else joining the program to sit back and say, oh, we're racing for second. I think, it's going to be interesting to see how Sunshine does this year.
No, absolutely not. And then you throw somebody like Chris Wyndham into the mix, right?
Yeah.
Like Tyler did it last year. Comes in, isn't really a wing driver, wins the championship. Can Chris follow in his footsteps?
Yep.
Will he be number 2? Will he put Tyler to shame? I think it's cool that we're seeing this kind of transition from the non-wing to the wing stuff and guys having such success right out of the box.
Kevin Thomas Jr.
Kevin Thomas Jr. is in that category.
Yep.
One that I had a chance to spend time with on the ASCS National Tour, Scott Boguski.
Yeah.
The Australian racer. I'm going to be interested to see what he does.
Yep.
It looks like he's got a pretty good little team he's put together there
with
the snow
really
racing
well
team, and he's a good racer. And so the All-Stars, the All-Stars are always weird because we go and they got rained out down at Bubba Pollard's place in Sonoya, Georgia. They got rained out of Volusia, so they ran 2. Courtney and Eliason won the 2 that they ran at East Bay. The All-Stars are always weird because you try to get some vision into it. We have no vision into it.
No.
Now, when we get to Attica, let's start now.
Then you throw Brent Marks into it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is Tanner Thorson doing? Is he?
Tanner is doing a more true outlaw schedule, I think.
True outlaw, but he's got some all-star.
He's got some all-star races.
Yeah,
I
and
think.
there's another non-wing.
I think that's the case. Yeah, another non-wing guy. Yeah, absolutely. They get to Attica, and then then they're off next weekend, and then they head to Central Pennsylvania. They're running Bridgeport on Tuesday night, Bloomsburg on Thursday, then to the Grove, and I think it's Port then, I think is what it is. The reason I know that is Alex Bowman. I was talking to him this weekend, and I'm like, when's your next races? He's going to run Bridgeport and Bloomsburg is what Alex Bowman's going to run. That's his next sprint car races. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I'm not old school like Aaron as far as sprint car racing.
Now.
But Ashley, it is really, really good to have compelling storylines within the All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, it's your closest rival to the World of Outlaws, right? Pays good. It's great for our area, especially, you know, that Ohio, Pennsylvania, they get to sleep in their own beds. They're not traveling all over the country, but they're still racing for really great money. The competition is still stellar. And that's the other thing. The more and more I think about the All-Stars and what's going on, you throw Brent Marks into the list, you throw Danny Dietrich in there, Macri, it really throws a whole lot of wrenches into the works of the All-Stars for guys who aren't necessarily, what I want to say, platinum drivers, if that's what they call them in the All-Stars. It really throws a mix into it, and it makes the guys even better, in my opinion. I know we've talked about it for the last 3 years, but sprint car racing is in such a phenomenal spot when it comes to competitors' competition right now.
Yep.
It really is.
Tyler Courtney won that championship, and he had to go multiple times last year into central Pennsylvania, to Williams Grove, to Lincoln, and to Port Royal, and race against Danny and Lance and Brent and Anthony, and the list just continues. You got to overcome that. That's building your program.
Well, I think, like you said too, it's kind of neat. We don't really have a preview of the All-Stars. They haven't, East Bay doesn't count, or Volusia doesn't really count because you have the Outlaws. You have just a mix of people. So I feel like the suspense is still there. We kind of know what's going on with the Outlaws. Well, I mean, we've had a lot of winners, and it's pretty darn competitive. So I guess we don't really have a total idea of what's going on there. But I kind of like that there's some new teams, there's new things going on with the All-Stars, but yet we got to wait and see.
Yep. Fun stuff, that's for sure. Finally, fun little tidbit out of central Pennsylvania. Jerry Parrish, of course, he runs the fabulous Lincoln Speedway, and he owns that number 21 car that Campbell drove last year and that Monteith had driven for years and years. He made news over the offseason when he announced that Dominic Scelzi was going to wheel the cars a few times. The car makes a debut this weekend, not with Dominic. How about this? Ashley, Paul McMahon going to run at Lincoln. How about that? Isn't that sweet to have Paul McMahon back at the racetrack?
It is. I knew about that about a week ago. We deal with Paul. We work with Quick Car to get a lot of our gauges, so I had a little bit of insider information on that one.
That is cool.
You didn't share it with us.
Yeah, I'm a little.
Life's a little crazy right now. Okay.
I must have missed that one in a little private text chain. Yes, exactly.
It must have been the text without me.
There we go. Well, it was without me too, Aaron. Without me too. So she texted that to herself. Yes, exactly. So,
maybe she told Kreger.
Fun stuff. Yes. Great stuff. Well, ladies, we're into April. We're into the prime of sprint car season. Boy, we're going to do this work area frequently throughout the course of the season. It looks like we're going to have a lot to talk about. That's for sure. So, Ashley, I swear to God, this time I mean it. I can't wait to talk to you as a mom. I don't think Hank can schedule any more shows between now and then.
Yeah, he might try to. And I love that Ashley's up for it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure 24 hours before I was supposed to have Kate, I was not doing anything but sitting on the couch.
Ashley, seriously, we love you. We love you and David. We love what's happening with your family. And good luck. Hope everything goes well for you. And I know it will.
Thanks. I love you guys, too.
There we go. Aaron, we'll sit back and I guess we might have to do our text chain.
You're going to get to see a lot of me because she's going to be a little busy
that's right. Over the next couple months, so you'll be filling in on the TV show.
We won't even need our own text chain.
Exactly. We won't need it. We'll just say, I'll see you the next time. Yeah. So, cool. Well, always great to hang out. So, fun stuff. So, Ashley, Aaron, and I'm Steve Post. Thanks, everyone, for following along and tuning in. Again, Getting Off Track with Ashley will resume in a few weeks. As you know, with Aaron and the Post Office with Steve Post over the next short period of time. You can follow along on our Twitter, on our Facebook, on our YouTube page. And again, a reminder coming up this weekend, Spencer Baston joins us on our Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit Television. Oh, Ashley, before Spencer Baston, wasn't he great?
He was phenomenal.
He was.
You want to check that out for sure.
I've teased Aaron about a softer side of Barry Jackson that he shared with us.
He did, yes.
It's good, that's for sure. For Ashley, for Aaron, I'm the Postman. Thanks for joining us here on the work area on Wing Nation.